there from Bug Eye Guys. This is really something special, and I'm really in love with this car. And if you've driven it, or if you had driven it, you would see why. It's not just really cool looking, it's actually really a blast to drive. Very light, probably only a 1,200 pounds, 1,100 pounds. And it has Sprite running gear with 1275 engine, so very, very quick. But let's take a quick look and I'll give you a tour of what this car really represents. This is a kit that Westfield sold. It was basically, they took the Lotus 7 and made a Sprite powered derivative. So you got all Sprite running gear, disc brakes, and 1275 engine, rib case, 4-speed transmission. But it's put into this purpose-built frame with a Lotus 7 body, aluminum, and just very lightweight, very cool. So super short throw shifting, again the rib case pattern, very basic instrumentation, a choke just right out of a Sprite, and the switches also. So you have the horn, you have an air horn, you have a Sprite turn signal. All this works, but ignition has to be on for power. Then you have a blinker here and blinker here. These are the indicators. This, I believe, is a blank, but you have the lights just like on a Sprite. You can see the amp draw here telling us that there's the headlights, and the high beams are triggered on and off here. The radiator, electric fan. So very, very basic. Ignition off. And this is actually the starter motor once the ignition's on. So couldn't be more simple. And then e-brake is here. The other really cool thing about this is that it has a removable steering wheel, really gorgeous Momo wheel, and that makes access a lot easier. I'm 5'8", so for me access isn't really a problem. We just made a short video with Rob getting in, and he's 5'11", and also has almost, I think, a 42-inch waist. So we do have a narrow, it's definitely a narrow car, and it's not for everyone, but he was able to fit in, and he's probably about maximum width. So it really depends on your body type, how nimble you are. It's definitely more of a short trip car, but it's so much fun that that's really up to the new owner. And there are people who drive these on long trips. We do have all the weather gear, and you can see the pictures on our site. Over here, I want to show you, this is kind of cool. This is the fuel gauge, which is, as I said in the listing, a lot like an outboard motor. But right now we have 3/4, half, quarter, and empty. So we're just above half, and this is your reference point. So that's kind of cute, quaint, funky. There is a nice tonneau, so you can leave the tonneau on to cover that. Here's the fuel fill. This is, of course, all aluminum. The 185/70 tires have a lot of grip. That's a 14-inch wheel. And then the exhaust is also really petite, but it's got a really nice note. I'll start it up for you in a little bit. So to get the bonnet open, you just remove these springs. There's 2 on each side. And it looks a little bit cumbersome, but it's actually pretty easy to do. You just, this is so light, you just basically lift it right off. Couldn't be more simple, and that's another thing that I absolutely love about this. You have fantastically open access. Everything is right in front of you. We have a later Sprite tandem master, so you have individual clutch and brake reservoirs. These are very easy parts to source. We have them all in our parts catalog. You have very tidy plumbing running here. He's got velocity stacks, but I would probably put some K&N air filters on there, which we have. I don't think this has driven very far, so it's not like it's made a huge difference, but either way, that's an option. We have a beautiful exhaust header running down to that collector on the side, and an expansion tank here, and all basic, simple Sprite stuff. Sprite distributor and generator. And then you also have the coil here and the solenoid here, this simple Sprite regulator and twin fuse box. There's this nice coil-over suspension too that you can see on this side. That's much more sophisticated than what you'd get on a Sprite from which these parts came. And there's the Sprite caliper and rotor in the front, and the Sprite steering arm and kingpin. So all of those parts were repurposed for this car. I really like the wire wheel and the green and silver contrast. It's a fantastic look. So we'll start it up for you so you can see how it sounds. Okay, here we go. So just so you can see that you can get into this pretty easily, at least at my size. I don't need to remove the wheel, but I'm just gonna basically slide in like so. And I have a size 9 shoe, and I don't have any issue with the pedals. So for someone my size, this car fits quite nicely. So I have the e-brake on, neutral, ignition on. I'm going to add a little choke. The car hasn't been run in quite a while, so we probably need a little bit more choke. We have 70 pounds of oil pressure here. And it idles and sounds very much like a Sprite. The side exhaust right here. It's nicely not smoking, of course. And so we have all the same Sprite controls as I discussed earlier, the principal steer and the indicator and the lights and the high beam. We have a high beam indicator here. So that's how we know if we've got that on. And then the fan if needed. And you can see here I don't know how accurate this instrument is, but we have amp draw here at idle, and it comes back up. So we are producing amperage back towards neutral to replace what we're drawing out of the battery. The horn is here, the steering wheel is here, incredibly tight, and it's a lot of good fun in this Lotus 11 Westfield. Engine off. Thank you.